Before we get started here, I first just want to say I'm so thankful, so honored, and so humbled, as always, to have such a dedicated and a growing audience base here. But not just an audience that's growing, but the dedicated ones that have been here and the new people that are starting to join, the new couples, the families. It's truly inspiring to see because we're starting to hone in at a different level here, and I think everybody realizes what's about to happen here in the macro. With the micro, yes, there's all this volatility, but I've been pushing more of a bullish narrative this weekend because even though it dropped down on Friday, it seemed like if we were going to go any farther, the fact that XRP held $3 was a key sign. Like if it was going to go farther, we really should have fell through, and that 298 should have at least gave way on Friday. So over the weekend, it seemed like we are going to kind of, if anything, we're going to print higher for some reason. And that's how I've articulated in my titles the last couple days with XRP. But we're approaching a time, and I don't know how many people from the outside, some in this community realize that obviously there's no way not to because I talk about it nonstop here. But this alt season is not going to be like 2021. Like some people are confused. They think it's going to be like 2021 and then it's just done. This is going to be a little bit different. This isn't going to be a hit it and quit it alt season. This is going to be a legitimate bona fide alt season where it takes time and steps and layers. Not it's going to go straight up just to come straight down. This is going to build similarly to what you see with XRP. How it started at 38 cents before that rally in November, a month or two before it dropped down to 38, kind of rallied around there, sat in the low 40s for a minute, hit that midpoint in November, and then bam, every step of the way we were hitting, and then every time you would think it would come back down, boom, we hit 130. Everybody's like, oh, it's back down to 115, it's over. Nope, then back up to 180. Then it comes back down to 130. Oh, nope, now it's up to 230. Then when we thought we are like, holy shit, we actually broke over $1.98, it's like maybe we'll stay around here. Back test, boom, right up to $3. It was like each layer. Then we got up to 340, came all the way back down to $1.62, which was great. That was the ultimate. That was the part where we sat there and we're like, man, I wish it would have came to $1.50. Yes, we're on the top end of that gap, and some say it's been closed. I disagree, and I'll fight to the death because until that $1.50's hit, I don't believe it was closed. But they don't need to be closed. See, the gaps only close about 95% of the time. People are like, oh, well, that's 95%. Yes. But out of 100, that's 5 times it stays open. Out of 1,000, it's 50. Out of 10,000, you get the picture. And there's millions and billions of gaps that are left all around this market. XRP's got tons of them. So some will stay open. Like the one at 250 right now. So, I mean, it's an ever-building layer. But do you really want to be like, oh, well, there's gaps at 2 cents and a fractional of a penny? And no, you don't really want to start doing that kind of stuff. It'll drive you'll go insane. But anyhow, getting back to the point. Where we're at right now is pretty spectacular because with XRP, you're not ahead. When it comes to most of the ISO and IoT tokens, you are so far ahead, it's almost like we fool ourselves into thinking that it's not exactly where we're at right now. Like, the one thing that I have not gone headstrong back into is XDC just because it hasn't given us that it hasn't proven it to us yet. When we came below this first layer, it was okay, well, maybe it is proven some kind of bearishness. When it came through that second layer and got rejected now, nonetheless, this is where you're like, okay, well, that 7.2 to 7.5 area is there for a reason. Unless it gets back above it. If we get it back above it, or if the pattern's just a longer pattern, and this is why it's dangerous just to not update analysis, because who's to say it's not a longer pattern, but right now you can't even go there. So like I did it with the first one when I brought it out to the next area, we still have to, and I wanted to do this real quick so I wouldn't forget about XDC this morning. We still have to see. So now we got like a 3-layer of resistance now, or well, we have support, but now we have first layer resistance at 8.6. You know, we've got a second layer that's built on that downtrending resistance, but we already got rejected here. So in essence, I would delete that, but I want to keep it up there so we can see how we got to where we are. Because eventually, we don't know when, eventually this can be an overextending resistance, and then sometime down the road you would maybe run into that, depending on how long this takes. So I don't like to get rid of them. I like to overextend it, and some people are like, oh, that analysis, I don't like to do stuff like that. Well, you should, because when you pay somebody for a fan, this is all they're doing, so you might as well just do it yourself. But getting back into like the essence of this market, there's a couple of things like I'll show you real quick in my email. Just some things that I've decided, So if we look at, this is the USDT dominance. What do you see there in the USDT dominance? So you see a head and shoulders there. So if USDT dominance falls, and I don't like to just keep the chart on my trading view because it just gets in the way. It's annoying because then we focus too much on it. But the bottom line is, if USDT breaks down from here, that means less money sitting in the stable coin. And when this breaks down, that means more money's finding its way back into the actual tokens. You want this to break down. If this simultaneously breaks down with the emergence of alt season, like when you look at it in past cycles, you've had pretty big jumps. That first cycle in 15 to 17 was awesome. It was awesome. But I think we can do better from that little run, because they're considering 19 to 21 the rally, which is fine, on here. But I wanted to save this because it makes a lot of sense. This is what we need to be looking at when somebody I don't remember where it was, just floating around somewhere. But this is the truth though, because alt season was crazy in the original alt season. But we're looking for returns, and I'm not saying 7x is all it can do. But like when you're looking at where we're at right now in the total crypto, or the total 3 market cap, if we're really going to make a run like this, and we're going to get, because this isn't your alt tokens going up 3, 5, 6, 10, 160x. This is the actual total 3 market cap. Well, the total crypto market cap in this case. So, oh no, this is, yeah. I mean, if we're gonna end up breaking through this and the total market cap goes up to 10, I mean, that's the thing. Where do we go? Where do we go? Right now we're about 4 trillion. You look at it in real time. And that's actually a resistance we need to get over, is that 4 trillion mark. If we get over 4 trillion, we could start to make some noise here. Because then you'd have the reaction up instead of down. So if we would have went down, we had a reaction down to 373. If this does, in fact, if it does, because it still could, but let's just say this got rejected, you'd be looking at the smaller target. Now, if this bounced off this area, you just work your way right back up here somewhere. But you'd have to retest. So we're going to come up to an area here at 4 trillion. It's the bottom line. We're going to come up to 4 trillion. And then we're going to see very quickly what the total crypto market cap's doing. Very, very quickly. And we've formed a pattern here. It's a pattern that's formed, especially in this upward consolidation. Now, the initial part of it, we did break out of it. It was more of like a rising triangle. And, well, I mean, it depends how you put it. But it can be interpreted, which you should interpret it that way, if you want this to be super bullish. And this is where the hesitation gets left to it. It's like if you were to fall down, you could certainly see that maybe this is how it would come through to retest. But then at the same time, if you run this through, you can also see an uptrend that if you overextend this, where it could possibly, but... so we'll just play it out like the pattern when it was forming. And like, it came to a head there. It came to a head and it finally got over that, and it was forming into like a little bit of an ascending wedge almost, or like a little bit of a wedge. And it broke through. And that's the important, like, if this actually runs, this is going to run. It really is, but there is still that thought like, okay, well, if we run into trouble, we've got an uptrend here. So we definitely don't want to break that. So like, and in worst case scenario, We don't want to break that 359 area. Otherwise, then we have to come down maybe a little bit farther. But I'm trying to look at this morning so everybody can see, like, if it doesn't pan out to the top side, which I'm looking more at the top side because if we don't get rejected here, it would be freaking great. But yeah, that's the overwhelming uptrend that could actually hold us after that little consolidation to finally swing us out. It took a little bit of while to swing us out of here. So now we've kind of formed a different style uptrend there, which would be nice because we've been bouncing back every single time. If this is the extension now, this is where it goes parabolic. If it's the extension, nobody knows yet. But if this is where it finally extended out, this is where you'd start to go parabolic. We don't know what day, we don't know what time, we don't know what month. But that weekly is an engulfing to the top side. And it's back testing on a new high. That's extremely bullish. The one thing that's a little bit concerning is in the weekly, the volume is crashing. Rising price, rising volume, or rising price, crashing volume is a recipe for a possible exhaustion coming up. So again, we don't know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but we do have a nice inverse head and shoulders breakout. And a common way to measure these is you measure the base, because they're like a cup, but they also create the inverse head and shoulders. So a lot of times just measure it. You get a small target. So that's what we're facing right now is going to end up being that small target. The bigger target is on this much wider pattern, and that brings you a little bit farther. That brings you a little bit farther. I remember we were talking about this being the inverse head, and we're like, if this is some kind of head formation here, it's going to be extraordinary. And this isn't going to be the end of it. This is just to give us some short targets. Is T still sleeping?
He's shaking.
How's he look? Does he look like I'm not ready for the world yet?
I put his...
Okay. But yeah, 4.73 trillion. So I'm going to do the intro. I want to take... So I took my essential minerals, but I forgot to take my essential amino acids. So I got my minerals. I need to take my essential amino acids. It was sitting on my table. I forgot.
Prepare for yucky faces.
No, this one's... Well, yeah. Yep. That's a good thing I'm not like on camera so good. Did I get it? Well, I'm glad I was on the side of the screen this morning. Let's see. Talking about the copy trade in the live is not the right time. I don't talk about it for a reason. That's something our community does in the Telegram. Please talk about that in the Telegram. Let's see. I just say our group trade. I don't say copy trade. And that's what we got out of this area finally. So, I mean, there's some big stuff. We back tested here. It's big. This is big stuff here. This is big stuff that's starting to happen. And like, I would hate for some that have been riding this for years and years and years to at least not let this exhaust. Look at how both of these matched up very nicely. But that's all that happened. So when you measure the base of these cups and the base of these, the way these are set up, it's just the pattern anyhow, so you should be able to get confluency when you set the pattern up. So, you know, it does give us a lot of credence that that's where we're looking to search. So until we even get up there, you know, there's really nothing to worry about until we come up here, you know. Yes, we can back test and do all that, but 4.8 trillion is a, you know, you're adding, that's what, 15%? That's not horrible. Well, maybe not from here. Okay, yeah, maybe it is from here, 22%. So that's a 22% increase in the market cap. That's something. That's something, man. Oof. So, good morning. 10:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Sunday, August 17th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So before I say good morning to everybody and welcome in some of the members of Tom's Army and Beyond, yesterday we've been talking about band, how it was a steal, and the farther down it goes, I was going to get longer, which I did, somewhere around 64 cents on average. So I don't have anywhere, I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm coming in here at, I don't know, what was the lows it got to, 55. But I'm very happy with where I'm at. And I got over 10,000 tokens. And I really do think this is a steal. If it comes down farther again, I'm going to take full advantage of this. Looks like a bull flag is setting up possibly here, in every sense of the word. Had a nice little 20% move yesterday, consolidated by about 5% this morning, or late last night, and now it's eating it back up from about 2% down right now. So a typical consolidation, nice inverse pattern. We're waiting to see if this does play up, because I think it should come up here and have another move up near the mid 80s. And then try to deal with that level, because in all actuality, we're trying to work up to something bigger. It's not even right here. We're not even trying to work up to these layers. I mean, there's resistance along the way, but it's got a much higher. It's trying to work up here, and this is what I've been trying to explain to everybody. I just didn't do a good job at showing this particular token enough because I get caught up with so many other things. But here's the deal. Band, it may not be an Internet of Things tokens, but it does the exact same thing as Internet of Things tokens, except it does it in all other sectors. So an Internet of Things token, it can send and move the data with smart contracts and do the things it needs to do within the smart devices, smart cities, anything that involves the smart utilization, AI, all that stuff. The difference between this is it's not stuck to a sector. It's not stuck to a sector, so it's not just stuck in the Internet of Things. It can do it in sports betting. It can do it in anything. It can do it in anything. But what this is, and the best way of doing it, because I can say it, or I can say it while reading it, while you can see it on the screen, what I put on PagerX a few days ago. So, a lot of people were asking me what they should buy on these dips and yada, 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 so on and so forth. And there's, obviously there's a lot of stuff that we can do. And there's certain things that because of circulating supply I'll point to in strategic spots. And this is where I forwarded in here, but I talked about it in the group, and I said, I talked about band, but one, it's got 164.27 million in circulation. The max is only 164 million. And like I was just talking about, it was not specifically an IoT, but it can do the same kind of thing for application. But it's a data oracle, which means it follows a way for blockchain to access external data from smart contracts, and it can provide data from anything, which is why it isn't an IoT token, as IoT tokens are specific for needs of IoT applications. So it's got a minimum supply, and then when you see that setup, it continues to build. Now that's just a generic setup off my phone, and it's easier to see it on here, but you can see it like that. But we also talk about micro levels that have been happening. So if it were to break down, yes, we could fall to 48, but when we look at this, we're looking almost at like the ground floor here. It's incredible where we were talking about it, because assuming it doesn't break down there and have to repeat that, I mean, you're talking about a bona fide floor here now. And the fact we're at 64, 65 on average, and this actual support structure, when you look at it in the all-time, this is why I've been comparing this to a lot. This is, to me, it reminds me of when we bought XRP. Because we were buying a trend line that was going on for a significant amount of time. And this is different because it only goes back to 2000 on this trend line, 22. XRP's was 2017. But it's the bearish phase. That's a very bullish consolidation. And when you get into supplies that are so small and they can do what this token does, when I say data oracle, that's literally the golden goose when it comes to connectability. Literally the data oracle, if it's a token that can do this, actually goes within the blockchain to give the information externally from the smart contract. That's so incredibly important. I couldn't even come through the screen and sit next to you and explain it I couldn't shake you and be like, this is so important. I need you to pay attention to this. This goes to the next tier. This is like next level. And I'm telling you, this one's going to outshine probably most things price-wise. When you see it now at 68, think of XRP at 68. No, it's not at 68. 76. Shit. Think of XRP at 76. I am so much more enthralled with this at 76 than I was at XRP at 76 because of how many tokens it only has and what it does. This is like the bee's knees when it comes to connectability for the smart contracts to a blockchain and so many other ways. I can't explain it enough. I talked about Polygon at 22 cents, how I finally caved and bought it because it got into my area and I had a message to myself to buy, so I couldn't ignore it anymore. I don't know where it's at if it's not loading up, but there was a message there. I had it circled. I showed everybody it's not loading. I don't know. There was that. Oh, and Gala. Gala was the same way. Oh, actually, Gala was the one that I had it set up. So I even bought Gala on these recent drops. So I had Gala bought a couple days ago when I told everybody. Maybe it was early yesterday, the night before. And Poly that I didn't have before this drop. And when they dropped off, I finally said, nope, not ignoring it anymore. So there's been a lot of things that I've been showing the last couple of days for my portfolio growing, and I am so happy I did what I did. I'm not sitting back anymore. I'm not worrying about it. I'm doing the moves that I think are right, and I'm not gonna be mad about them. Just like I have 250,000 of XYO in my gut. I had a dream last night that I needed to double that because my goal was 500,000, and it said you got to stop waiting because if this is the phase, that's a big inverse head and shoulders. You've got the spare capital because I've got like, I don't know, I don't want to say how much to the side, but I have the spare capital. So I'm going to listen to my dream last night on the air. This is something I wanted to get into because I like to do some things on the air. So people are like, oh, this is what he's doing, and now we don't have to ask a question. Sometimes the hardest thing for me is telling people what I'm doing and then nobody listening. Like I'm making it up. I got better things to do than make it up. Believe me. So how many did that just buy? I like to do it on limit. So it bought 103,000 and now it wanted to raise the price, and I just simply cancel the limit, go back into it, and now I need to buy 147,000 more because I'm not going to take a higher price on BitUnix just because. I'll let it reshuffle for a few seconds. See it reshuffled again. Now I should be able to fill the last 147 pretty easy. No, not $147,000. I put it in the wrong spot. There, and it filled it instantly. See, and I didn't have to cave for price either. So I added 250,000, so now I have 500,000 XYO. I'm very happy about that. That's something that has been bothering me. Good timing for that. Good timing. Now it'll drop down 18% and I can buy more. Okay, continuing. So let me get through some of the comments. I see we have an unbelievable donation. Let me skip down to that real quick. Holy crap. Julie, we got a big donation. Big Bear.
Big Bear?
Big Bear. George Tio, and I only apologize for butchering this. And I know you've been in my audience for years, and it pisses me off that I can't say this name. George Teodorshu. George Teodorshu. I hope I said it anywhere near the correctly. Thank you so much for not only being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge, but the $100 donation. Unbelievable on this Sunday. That is an unbelievably generous donation, George. Thank you so much for that, my friend. I really appreciate that. That is awe-inspiring. You just donated more than I made this whole weekend in the lives. In 3 days, that's crazy. It all comes in ways you don't expect it when you pay it forward and you have abundance for all on your mind. Somehow that abundance finds its way back to you in the ways you least expect it. That's unbelievably generous, George. Seriously, thank you so much. I see Sean Crothers in here. Welcome in, Sean. My main man from Maine. Honestly, the guy who got me in the band, remember a few months ago when I started talking about it and I said, Sean led me into Turbo and I'm not going to make the same mistake by not putting more money into it. Because I only put I didn't have as much to spread around before. But I think I put I don't know, 500 or 1,000, but I was so mad. He 10, 15 X'd it for me. And if I would have just put $5,000 into it like I should have, but I didn't have the proper research. I did my due diligence with band. So when it dropped, I told everybody, I'm getting longer here. And Sean knows what he's talking about. Very trusted mod. He also put a lot of faith into what I do a long time ago. And he has over I don't want to say how many, but he's one of those 100,000 plus holders of XRP. And he bought it cheap, and he's doing very well. Very well, and he finds the strategic one. So when he started talking about band, I started to really dig in. And when I started to learn about band, I said, holy shit. This is 10x better than XRP for how much we can make. This is what I'm talking about. These are the gems. These are the gems. My page is gem. All my page is one big gem. If you only buy what I put on my pages, you can't lose. Well, you can lose in the micro if you buy it at the wrong time. But just stick to the plan. Everybody in my Telegram, a few people, not everybody, but the ones who bought band when do we sell it? Should I sell it now after 25? It's if you want to sell it for 25, you go ahead. But I don't buy these for 25%. I would have never made 10x on XRP with that mindset. But thank you, George. Thank you so much. And I love this community so much. We do something different. If you stick through it and you join, if you're in Tom's Army and you get into the Telegram and you start to see what's going on. Speaking of the Telegram, and I know some people will leave, some people will stay. The weekly edition came out this week. And remember, Give Defined, he's in the audience right now. Very trusted mod. Been in Tom's Army for over 6 months over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Very trusted mod and here in a very important admin in the Telegram. The most important. He's my right-hand man. He's number 2 in this community. Whoops. Don't want to show our conversations, but yeah, he's like if something happened to me, he'd be the one who took over in the Telegram. That's the way it goes. He's like the next in line. So if there's a hit job, it was Defined. But this week that's last week's. He put out this week's new episode. It was a beautiful episode. Crypto Cooter was spotlighted in there. There's a few things I think everybody needs to go through. A lot about this market and a lot about resilience. But he evolved it because he started sharing top stories, market structures, setups, what's been going on during the week, the congratulations section, what's going on in the world. And then from UB2B, and he's on there. When I was on vacation, me and Julie legitimately seen an alien craft that looked like that got shared from Michigan all the way through Canada and different parts. Still not sure what it was because it was kind of weird. Yeah, some said it was the Volton rocket. Some said it was the Chinese. It was a whole bunch of stuff. But this is and he's our meme genius. So I didn't want to talk about this until the episode came out. But so I'm just gonna put this in here. And for anybody who was thinking about copy trading because somebody mentioned it, got to be in Tom's Army to learn about it. There's so much information, and all I'll say, because I'm bound to silence, is we're in VeChain together. That's all I'll say. Tom's Army on a mission. We ain't no joke. Gotta save time from the alien poke. From moon to moon, playing with house money. Rally the team, we'll save time getting back to his honey. Save time from the alien probe. Reunite. XRP to the moon. Future's blazing bright. Alien strike to snatch him in the saucer of doom. But we'll catch him before they can Thank you so much for that, UB2B. I really, really, really appreciate that. He's been around since we didn't have very many people watching here. And he used to make memes for us. And it's pretty cool. You should check him out on YouTube, UB2B Sub. You can find him in the Telegram. Nazar, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Dan Marginal, good morning, and I appreciate you continuing in Tom's Army for a second month. That's the most important badge, because the studies say, in my own personal data, if you join that second month badge, you have a 65% likelihood to go for 1 year or more. Anybody who makes it 1 year is about 90% they stay in for, at least from what I've seen, 4 years plus. So once I get you for a year, there's a 90% probability you're not going nowhere. So it takes a while to convince, but once I do, we have lifelong support, it looks like. As long as I keep showing up, that is. Jack Shoemate and Frankie Fresh, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the Extra Week Predictor, which I won't stop showing up. I'm kind of psychotic in that way. I'm very dedicated. Paranomia, welcome in. Paranomia. Yeah, that sounds about right. Welcome in. Good morning to you. Dennis Smith, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. What a guy that guy is, joining for his first month. I really appreciate that. The #1 top fan. And it says Frankie Fresh is #2, Syrian, and a whole bunch of other people are #3, which is why I can never say it, because there's so many people it puts together. There's got to be a better way. Although when we go farther down, I'm sure Mr. George will probably be taking over that spot with that donation. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod, not just in here, but also a very important admin in the Telegram. Really, really appreciate all the work you do for us. And also in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. It's always trying to keep this community clean, safe, and prosperous. I love it. Let's see. Is that a bear flag on the 1 hour and an inverse head and shoulders? I'm not sure which chart you're talking about. But, like, I'm still looking at if, for whatever reason, we can't break over and this breaks down, I can still see a short term for XRP inverse head and shoulders, but a possibility that this could have, built a head and shoulders with a little bear flag here. So that's why we have to invalidate this structure. Otherwise, XRP to 285. But that wouldn't even matter, though. Like that, even if this happens, doesn't invalidate anything if it comes to 285. Nothing. It just would reinforce if it has to come down. But we really don't want to keep seeing that. But I do fear that XRP is going to be the distractor of this bull season. I've been saying it forever. It ran early, and now while the rest of them start catching up, I think XRP is going to sit. It might not do what a lot of people think. I've been very clear here. I would not buy XRP at 311. Like I said the other day, I'd buy Band at 64, 65, or 67. I would buy IOTA when it was at 19 over that. I would have bought Algo at, even now, compared to where it's at. Like I bought Poly, so obviously I didn't buy more into XRP. I already have XRP at 34, but the point is, when I bought Poly, and when I bought Gala, and when I bought Dent, and when I bought Band, and when I bought 40,000 IOTA and 40,000, I wasn't putting it into XRP. You see what I'm saying? I'm putting it into other things. Epic is one that I really, really wish I would have paid attention to, because I had it perfectly matched out, which I'm not going to get mad because Band actually outran it yesterday, believe it or not. But the point is I could have had a double head sword and had another targeted by on the side of Ripple because they invest in this, and man, did we nail this perfectly. We talked about, and yes, there was the opportunity if it came down farther, but this is where the strike point was for that triple bottom and the inverse right shoulder, actually overextending, and it hit it perfectly. And those are what you're looking for, those quick hit it and boom. That's what we got in Band 2. It hit it and boom. Now this one we don't know where it can go. There's only like 30 million or so tokens, but it's a real world asset, and it's not just that. It's trying to connect all of the real world assets to the platform between corporations, between between it all. It's the connectivity. It's basically beta, you could call it, because it's the first actual tokenomics that is trying to, connect all of the real world assets within blockchain and to the user and to corporation and all this other stuff. It's pretty cool. Like, I dedicated this time around in this alt season to not just know about XRP and the ones that we talk about. I wanted to know about different things that could actually significantly advance our portfolios while we wait for the other ones. Like, I've had nothing but waiting for XRP, and it's spectacular because while waiting, I learned more about other things. And now that XRP is almost 10x, the other ones now I've been focusing on, and XRP still consolidating. It's afforded me a great opportunity. In the last couple of days, IOTA's up like 7% from where we were buying it. So, you know, it's pretty nice to see some of the stuff that's going on here. And now if we can get follow through here, it's going to be unbelievable. This isn't going to be like 21. 21 was setting this alt season up. That was just the trap. 21 was the trap. Because that's where it started to form that big hook in the middle where we had the W on some things like XRP and some others. It started to form that ultimate resistance up over the top where we were going to have 95 to 99% drops on most of the other alt tokens that are still 90% down. Like, when you take a real look at it, it still shocks people, I think, because they don't look as deep. They'll hear me talk about IOTA and be like, God, why is he so hot on it? One, it's a mainframe token for the Internet of Things, which means it runs the show. Two, when you want to talk about massive handles and formations, and I have to pull the other chart up so you can see the full possibilities here. But you're talking about from the top, it's down 92.2% today from where it was at in that 21 bull market. Today, XRP used to be like that. It's not anymore. It's not anymore. And I don't know why I don't have the other, I can have that chart on here because I have a whole bunch of charts I can have now. But it's IOTA, it's very easy. It's the, I know which chart it is, like the back of my hand, the Bitfinex chart. It freezes a little bit during different cycles of the day, so it's not as up to date. So I always have to have a second one. But this is the one I truly went in depth and showed you the next cycle. If it does do, maybe not the next immediate, but when it finally does this, I showed all of the true potential here, like the potentials. Big potentials. I mean, big bear potentials. And like when you're talking about the possibility of what's here, you're buying it for pennies, 9 cents on the dollar right now. You're getting IOTA from where it was at. If you talk about all-time highs, if you talk about just from 20, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. Same thing happened with Algo. Same thing happened with VeChain. Same thing happened with Dent. Same thing happened with Band. Same thing happened with all of these other ones I keep trying to show every day. Same thing happened with Zill. Same thing happened with, well, not necessarily HBAR. It did when we were buying it. And now HBAR is going to find itself in a similar position as like XLM and some other ones where you look at the top end from its pattern, how it's set up. Yeah, and $1.10 is great. It's great. But it's not what IOTA has the potential to do. So if you're asking me, there is 0% chance that I would buy HBAR here when IOTA is sitting cheaper. There is no chance in hell. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there is 0% chance that I am buying HBAR here over IOTA. And some people might think, to that extent, there is 0% chance I'm buying HBAR here when not only IOTA is cheaper than it, but Algo is at the same price. And there's no way I'm buying Algo here when IOTA is that much cheaper. You see what happened here? But I don't have to worry about that. I have 40,000 Algo. So if I was about to buy and choose between all of them, the three of those, it would go into IOTA every day. But I've already bought $7,000 something worth at the price it was at. I think it was like 7,800 or some crap. I honestly can't remember. All I know is that 19 something price on average. But that's this time around. I remember when we bought it at 8 and we sold it way above where it's at now to wait for this in January after it made that top. And then we came back and we waited for proper aligning. Now, there's no reason to worry about it, guys. Like, what are we worried about here? Why do we get so worried in these parts? You know how many people buy the stuff and don't care how much it's down, and then all of a sudden we go up 20, 30, 40% and it comes down one time and they're running for the hills? Don't do that. Don't do that. If we would have ran for the hills every time XRP went from 35 to 75 to 42 to 98 to 65 to 38, back up to 75, to 42, to 49, to 57, to 46. You know, if we jumped out every time, you wouldn't have hit the $3. Who cares about the pennies? Let this do what it wants to do between the pennies. We're looking at the dollars. Think about it that way. Let it trade the pennies. You sell the dollars. Or the tens of dollars. You sell band when it's not dollars. You're looking for tens of dollars on band. You're not selling IOTA for pennies. You're looking for dollars. You're not selling algo for a quarter. You're looking for dollars. You see what I'm saying? You weren't selling XRP for pennies, for cents. You're looking for dollars, God damn it. Excuse my French. I'm just saying. Don't say I can't, say I can. Don't be negative, be positive. See, when you're negative, that negativity transforms into more negativity. Think of the most negative person you can think. And think of how they're always, I can't. It worked against me. You know, the damn government. It's always something. It's always an excuse. If you say, I can do this, I will do it in spite. I'm going to have this plan because of the government to work against it. I can do this. I could never do that. No, you've never tried to do that. So it's going to take time to understand, become proficient in it, and then execute, and then you can do it. Like a lot of people say, I can't read a chart. No, you just don't know how to read a chart. If you put the time, dedication, and effort into it, you can read a chart. You just don't know how. Like in school, you didn't know how to write. You would say, I can't do cursive when we were kids. No, you didn't know how to do cursive. Now as an adult, we haven't written in years and we can still fucking write cursive that the kids can't understand now because they're not taught it. I'm just saying, it's not that you can't do it, it's that you don't know how. There's a big difference. So I'm going to teach you how day by day how to do technical analysis. I'm going to teach you how to spot the right tokens. I'm going to teach you how to stay away from the bullshit like leverage, meme tokens. Yes, you can make a quick dollar, but right when you get into memes, right when you get into 2x or higher, or right when you get into trading instead of investing, the gambling part of your brain becomes enlarged. It's on focus. It's on task. And now all of a sudden you screw it all up. So I have a very defined system that's worked for me, and it'll work for you. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only, obviously. But this is real information nonetheless. You can stick it behind some kind of, guarantee.
This is how you trade.
But this is how I trade. So whether I make a mistake or I'm doing something incredibly different that's paying off in ways that most people can't even imagine in the real world, you make the decision because you see what I do every single day and you see what's happening. I'm not just being able to buy more and more assets because it's because the work we're putting in, and so are you all. You're all able to do that. Somebody didn't send me $100 a day just because. You know how unusual that is to be on YouTube and somebody sending you that much money? Just think, there's got to be a reason. Something had to have happened to this person to where they have that much money to send. Or maybe they've just been around and they've been able to absorb and they've been able to build over time, knowing that they've been in Tom's Army for almost 3 years. They're probably an XRP sub 50. Or they've made some great life-changing decisions here in this crypto sphere and they're paying it forward. That's creating abundance for all. I'm trying to create it for all of you. And now this one small act by George, which isn't even small, he's created abundance for me this morning. He's allowed me the flexibility to do this for free and give the information out like I see fit, like I've been doing since March 24th of 2021. So it's all a big circle when it comes back to it. It really is. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior, depending on how you want to phrase it, Jesus Christ, Yahshua, Yahweh. I seen many people were also giving thanks this morning after I posted what I did in here. So God became present in our actions from the very start, even before this live even started, and will give us ultimate guidance. And the ones who stick it out for day after day, year after year, week after week, month after month, second after second, I'm telling you, I don't even need to tell you anymore because it's already happening. But at some point here, things are going to turn and you're going to be like, wow, my 9 to 5 is fun. Because now it's just a point of return. It's not about living. That's not how I live. My investments are paying dividends. But my paycheck is how I don't take away from investments, how I have more capital to put in. And this is ultimately how I pay down my debts, pay off my yada, yada, yada. And before you know it, when you're in a debt-free living that I like to try to teach, don't go into more debt. because when you have debt, you make bad decisions. See, you don't want to put yourself in an emotional response, because that's when I make stupid decisions. When I'm emotional, I make stupid decisions, personally. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to sum up where we're at this morning, from a psychological standpoint and from a motivational standpoint in this market. Dwight, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month, Mr. Delinger. In Tom's Army with that emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That's so awesome to see some of the new faces in here. Love it. Thank you so much for that, friend. Frankie Fresh, good morning, and thank you so much for being part of Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. And Janine, thank you so much for being a part of this as well. Frankie Fresh's significant other. Love it. Love it. So it's an incredible feeling to see all of the ones together within relationships, family, friends that come in here and embrace it now. Crypto Cooter, good morning and congratulations on being the Spotlight member this week in the Telegram. Love it on the edition. Awesome. Well, in the community, that is, not just the Telegram. Also, a very trusted mod in here, and our newest admin in the Telegram. Love it so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Crypto Cooter. Good morning to you, friend. Arichi Farms and Crazy Pull, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. And if you want to get into the Telegram, join Tom's Army. It's $9.99 a month to pay support. I didn't do that until we got to like 375 members. But as you can imagine, the spammers, the ones who try to imitate me, get very, very unbelievably annoying. So, and also I wanted to give something special for the ones who were in Tom's Army. So now you have a community of like-minded people, including myself, because I'm there every day, in the Telegram, to where we can talk outside of the lives and become closer and learn more and more and more and get more and more and more. It's just that important. I even put a daily setup in the morning, so before I ever come on here, before I take my shower and stuff in the morning, go to the gym, I like to put this out, set this up in a good way with the PagerX, to allow me to have a voice just to myself. And this morning I put, good morning everyone, happy Sunday. Today's analysis will be a little different. XRP, total 3, and total crypto market cap. Those were the 3 I wanted to do. First with XRP, currently sitting at 311. Underneath support is at 306. If XRP continues with momentum, must retake 320 to start pushing through micro bullish narrative of $3.28. It should say if overtaken, but again, I'm just waking up with my eyes. But that's not important. Then $3.60 and $4.19 very much back in play. The total sits at $3.963 trillion. If it breaks back over $4 trillion, next target is $4.11 trillion. I kept it in the micro this morning. If it loses $3.88 trillion down to $3.73 trillion, the total 3 is at $1.061 trillion. Get above $1.066 trillion and move to $1.11 will be warranted. That break above will go parabolic. A breakdown could target $1.01 trillion and $969 billion. Be wise, be precise, and plan for macro, not micro movements. Micro for entry, macro for potential gains. And that's something that gets lost amongst not the seasoned traders, but the rookie traders. You look for micro only for entries. You avoid the micro for psychological sells, because you're looking from micro buys for the best opportunity for that micro good feel, so that you're not getting slaughtered in the micro, but then you hold on into the macro landscape. So you're looking at the macro first, and then you're like, oh, this looks like a great setup. Then you hone into the micro so you can find your entry point, and then you hold on for dear life until the macro plays out, adding along the way. You're trying to come within, rule of thumb, 20% of the bottom. You're trying to be within 20% of the bottom. In theory, you could buy 2 sets, and you could buy 10% more. You'd have 20% more as it goes down. And then on the way back up, or you can buy more than that. But rule of thumb, you're trying to find 20% of the bottom. Nobody's going to find the bottom. I don't care what they say. We might do a good job at getting close, but even we don't get the exact bottom. It looks good down in the future. Like, hey, XRP's at 34. But remember, it went to 28.5. Yes, we did buy at 28.5 initially, but we sold at 42. And then we bought back at 34. There was actually a lower opportunity at 32 at that same time that we didn't get the bottom. It came through a little bit on a wick when we bought at 34.5 or 34, whatever the hell it was. So that's not even the bottom. That's within a certain percentage, but that is still not the bottom. So You just want to be within that bottom, just like the head. I want to sell within 20% of the head, which usually leads to the right shoulder, like we did with XRP. An example, we bought before the bull run in 21, and we sold out at $1.66. I think the average was like 47 cents. We're buying it everywhere before the breakout. Obviously, it went to $1.98. We had another run back up to $1.77, but we got confirmation that the right shoulder was reversing down at $1.66, so we sold there. I felt like we did exactly what we wanted within 20% of the top. And we got to, have 4 or 5x along the way, which was still nice. It was our first big run together. And it set the stage for everything that came after. So it's that same philosophy here. It's the same philosophy. You're trying to buy 20% of the bottom. Not always guaranteeing it because sometimes you get quick wicks, but it's all about your macro view into the micro landscape. So if the macro looks good, you're seeking it out in the micro. That's the best advice I can give you this morning. Start in the macro and like a heat-seeking missile, look into the micro. That, as you know, group trade, as far as I'll go. If you're in the Telegram, you can look deeper into it. If you need help in the Telegram and you're watching right now, make sure you go in here and then you get into, where's this section at? We got the copy trading agreement. And you agree, we got 12 people in it. It's basically in the beta, but long-term beta because this position ain't... We had issues before, so we had to sell it and then rebuy in a strategic moment. But this is how you do everything. So everybody who's in there, make sure you pay attention because every step, there's guidance everywhere. This is revolutionary. You're not going to see it anywhere else. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure you go to xrpfuturemillionaire.com. I put this website together. Cost me about $6,000 for 5 years of dedicated servers. Having my name, xrpfuturemillionaire.com. Also having live API. So this updates every second on the second, 24/7 live on the XRP market cap. It starts out. Volume starts on there, but you can go to any chart at any time. So we're going to look at VeChain. So we're going to add, we're going to search. We're going to go to VET. We're going to go to crypto. Doesn't really matter. Binance has had it for a very long time. So we'll go to Binance. So now we got the VeChain chart. Looks spectacular. That's its market cap. Actually, I don't want that. That's not VeChain. Well, that was VeChain, but not in the way I want it. I don't want market cap. I want... Yeah, I was going to say, why has it got XRP up there? But the chart looks spectacular, in my opinion, on VeChain. It's got that rounding bottom that's forming right now. And at some point for VeChain, I hit the wrong button. I reset the formulation, which... Whoops, my bad. I'm like, what is going on here? How long did they have it here? Oh, same amount of time. Good. All right, so anyhow, you have the... I want to go to... Because this chart might not allow me to see the volume, because some don't. But anyhow, the moving average convergence divergence here for VeChain, if you look at it in the monthly, it's finally starting to flip from red. And this is a very key indicator here. It's very key. It still hasn't flipped completely, as you can see, but it's trying to in real time. Now, when we look, I don't necessarily want to go to the stochastic right now. You know what I'd rather do? I want to see the VWAP. Volume weighted average price. Assuming that it has something for... This feature is only available on TradingView. Not a surprise. So we'll go back to TradingView and I'll just do it here. Some of them are paid. I forgot some of them are paid. And since I pay, I can look at this. Assuming it actually shows up. Sometimes, as you guys know, TradingView has lots of issues. And it's something, honestly, that's pretty annoying. Because when I first started on YouTube, you didn't have to pay for all this on here. But now, all of a sudden, you do. Like, it's not actually popping up. It's supposed to be popping up right now. Gotta love it. We'll have to do this in the next one. I really wanted to look at that. But it's not letting me. Not crazy. Let's see if the MACD at least pulls up. Which should. Yeah, so the VWAP won't pull up. What the hell? Not that I wanted to see the volume weighted index or anything. Let's see. Ah, fuck it. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. If that doesn't want to work, we'll look at the Bollinger Bands. Oh, wait a minute. It might have put the VWAP up top. I forgot that the volume weighted the way it does it. Son of a bitch. I told you, all these have different kind of strategies on them. So it becomes a little intense. But anybody who stayed, like, you can use this in real time. Like, listen to the indicators. You know, start to get more accustomed to it. And then when you want to back out, if you don't save them, it'll automatically delete them. And there's a reason I do that. So, MACD, and then I'll put the Bollinger real quick. I can have, I think, 5 of them on here right now. You'll only be able to do 3 if you don't pay. FYI. I don't like the color of the top band because it's going to get... I hate that they put it red. Bottom of this band's at 1.4, so we're right in the middle of it. But it's all the way up at the top. Look where that band's at. That's right where the target's at, 4.9. So the top of this Bollinger Band is right there at 4.9 in the monthly. That's crazy. Let's see in the weekly if we're making any noise. No, it's converging. In the weekly, the bands are converging. In the daily, we're absolutely converging. I wish that color was different. I can change it, but I don't want to waste the rest of the time here. But yeah, the other thing, the moving average convergence divergence here is important. Crossing bullish in the weekly. Flowing back into the green, which is incredibly important here. The daily time frame, after dumping out a little bit, starting to pull back here a little bit. It never went red. So this could be a reversal here for V-Chain. Monthly. This could finally be the pullback here. It's been red for a while in the monthly. It could finally be flipping here because the weekly for the first time these last 4 or 5 weeks, look how long of a stretch we had red. Now it's finally flipping there. It's trying. This is a bona fide attempt here to get something bigger here. So I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Pay attention. I encourage you to join XRPFutureMillionaire.com. You can go to any chart at any time. Like I said, it's a very big tool to have. Go to the Total 3. Go to any market, not just crypto, any token, any currency exchange, anything like that, no matter what the country's native token or currency is, you can look at it. So Total 3, aside from Bitcoin and Ethereum. If we want to see this, we'll go to the Bollinger Bands on here. You don't even need to do it on the actual site. You can do it here and it'll be easier to see. See how much easier that is? So there's your Bollinger Bands. Total 3 is right up to the top in the monthly. If we break out of these bands, oh boy. Oh boy. We've been stuck within for quite some time. And then we could go into a parabolic phase here if this continues. Now that you can see it a little bit clearer here, we'll go back to V-Chain on here before I leave. So you can actually see what I was trying to show you. But I think this is the value, too, of being on the website. It's so much easier to see it from a perspective of a tablet, phone, because it's in the App Store. You get so much more. Yeah, some of them are paid like the VWAP, but, you know, we'll deal with it. So that's what you're looking at here. And then the cool thing about this is, unlike on the phone, the most I can do is go back into the monthly. I can go 12 monthly here. I can go 6 monthly. You can go, you know, there's many different intervals here where you can actually look at it and see if anything shows up. 6 monthly you can go into. You know, you can go into the 3 monthly, which is pretty cool, I think. 3 monthly, you can see the Bollingers like right in the middle. But they're constricting. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I apologize if I missed some of you, but tried to get all this information out this morning. I greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna go spend some time with the family.